Hello, YouTube. How's everyone doing out there today? I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've posted a video to YouTube. I've been kind of just going through a few things and figuring out what would be appropriate to post as far as the game we're playing right now, which is New World, and you know what's coming in the future or current content that y'all might be interested in. And we had recently watched the dev video on the stream a couple days ago, and I figured, maybe that would be the best thing to post right now. They go through a lot of great stuff in the dev video. There's a lot of cool things coming out in the future, coming July. And if you haven't watched the dev video yet, I encourage you to watch this. You can watch it with me and see my reactions. It's kind of more of like a reaction video to the dev update, so to speak. We're kind of poking out the devs a little bit here and there. It's all fun and games. But yeah, there's a lot of awesome stuff that they're bringing to the game. There's a new dungeon coming out. Dungeon orbs are being removed. When you salvage your items from dungeons, you can get a token from that salvage that you will be able to collect to buy the specific item from that dungeon that you would actually want, rather than continually getting items that you don't need. Yeah, there's also crafting changes that are going to be coming up. They're making crafting a little bit easier. They're changing perks up, making some of them stronger, and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of great changes that are going to be coming up in July. So yeah, let's get right into this. We'll watch the video. I have the chapter markers here on the YouTube video in case you want to skip through some of the parts. But yeah, let's get right into this. It's pretty exciting and it's fun. Why not? All right, let's get it going here. Let's press play and watch the video.
Hi everyone, welcome to the New World Developer Update. I'm Scott, the game director on New World. Today, Katie's joining us. Katie's the live lead. We have a lot to share with you. We want to give you an update on the roadmap. We want to talk about the July PTR. We have some XP events. And then we have some pretty big changes to loot, perks, and keys. It's going to be a great show, and we can't wait to share it all with you, so let's get rolling.
Keys.
All right, we're back. We're going to start by talking about the roadmap. We've made some progress toward it. First and foremost, back in March, we released the Tempest Heart Expedition, and it's been pretty fun for me. I don't know how you're feeling about it, Katie.
I've definitely been crushing Tempest Heart, but it was a slow go there at the start, especially because we had introduced Blunderbuss at the same time. And thankfully, we did a double weekend XP event, or double XP weekend event, and so I got to level that all the way to 20, which was really helpful. But
well, lucky you,
I know.
I got bombed. I didn't get to do that, so I had to level it after. And as a tank, I wanted to be the blunderbuss paired with the sword and shield, so it was very important to me.
What a noob. But anyway, so, but yeah, Nusha2 definitely smacked me down a ton of times. Last time I gave stats that he had smacked down 400,000 times. That's how many kills he got. That has absolutely increased since last time we discussed it. So yeah, it's been wild. I've been having a lot of fun with it, but I've also been having a lot of fun with something that we also recently released, which is the PvP rewards track. That's been super exciting for me. And the company that I'm with has been really enjoying like capping forts and trying to be the underdog in the Great Cleave faction missions round. That's a lot of fun to just group up with 5 people and try to make it.
Well, and it kind of like, so we released the PvP reward track, and we found a few people taking advantage of some of the design.
Did you say 5v5? Did I miss something?
Capping the faction control points.
I definitely didn't take advantage of the double XP weapon thing either.
We upped those to 10
like that
pretty
guy.
quickly. And that solved that problem, and it actually had a really cool happy accident, because we saw our open world PvP numbers around faction control points going up, because I think people were like, well, there's going to be people over there sleeping. Let me go put an end to that. So it actually worked out in the long run as we were kind of fortunate that we made that mistake, because I think we're going to stick with this for a little while.
Yeah, it's definitely been.
Okay, hold on.
Like the data has shown us that we can get more.
Going to be people over the world. That solved
something about changing,
because they were set to 2.5.
Yep.
Taking advantage of some of the design mistakes, where they were capping the capping the faction control points too quickly because they were set to 2.5.
Yep.
We upped those to 10 pretty quickly. And that solved that problem. And it actually had a really cool, happy accident because we saw our open world PvP numbers around faction control points going up because I think people were like, well, there's going to be people over there sleeping. Let me go put an end to that. So it actually worked out in the long run as a, we were kind of fortunate that we made that mistake because I think we're going to stick with this for a little while.
Yeah, it's definitely been, like the data has shown us that we can get more people like out there fighting near the forts, but then also just playing in game. It feels really cool to go over to a fort and, you know, maybe for the first couple minutes nobody shows up, but then, you know, they start trickling in. One person sends somebody to see if it's just one person in there. It ends up being 40 people and everyone's having this all-out battle. I think that's so cool. I love that. I love that.
So then going a little more forward, the next release is going to be focused on the summer medley fair. So you can read into that.
Forts have a cooldown on when they could be flipped.
We're also going to have another expedition,
medley fair,
Barnacles and Black Powder, which is coming together nicely. I've run it a few times and it's very different than our other
and
expeditions.
Black Powder expedition.
And to help you find your way in, we have the Expedition Group Finder. So these things together are all going to be coming in the month of July.
Expedition Group Finder.
I personally am really excited for this release.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, for sure. And then there is a change to the public test realm. That's the PTR that we're talking about for folks that this is your first time tuning in. So initially, previously we've released content like all at once, regardless of how we're planning to roll it out. So this time, because we want to get the content in front of players to test sooner rather than later. And when I say test, it's not just bugs, it's, you know, design feedback, it's, is this fun, is the content challenging? And then also, is there something that you would like to see, right? Like, is there something missing that you think would be really exciting for folks? All of that feedback should go into the in-game feedback tool when you're actually in the game. So that's when you press escape, you go to the game menu, submit feedback, it's that. And that goes directly to us. That's what we use most often. And of course, we look at the forums. You folks have seen the developers and our community managers in there. But yeah, so we're doing the medley fair first, so you'll see that content, and we want you to be able to focus on that without having to split your attention across additional content. And that gives us more time to respond to your feedback. And then right after that, we're going to do the Barnacles and Black Powder content release to the public test realm. And then you can focus on that. And give us
that sounds kind of exciting.
It's fun. So I just want to make sure that people know that we are making this change to how the public test realm is working. So you should not necessarily expect that all the content that you see in test will be available in our next release on the date of release. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing how that change goes.
Me too. And I want to reiterate something you said. That in-game feedback is so valuable to us. We read it, we look at it a lot. I know Greg was in here talking about it a few months ago. But don't assume that other people have the same opinion as you or are thinking the same way. Get that feedback in because you will have an impact on where we go with the game. And I hope you're already seeing that from us in the past. But going forward, things are not always clear cut and you might be the opinion that pushes us over in one direction. So please, please, please use that. And with that, we're going to move on to the next section. So thanks, Katie. Hey, let's go.
The next section, improvements and balances. Okay, before we go to this, I'm going to go back to this part one more time with the arena change and
missions round. That's a lot of fun to just group up with 5 people and try to make it.
Well, and it kind of like, so we released the PvP reward track and we found a few people taking advantage of some of the design mistakes where they were capping the faction control points too quickly because they were set to 2.5.
Yep.
We upped those to 10 pretty quickly. And
they were set to 2.5 and they upped them to 10. Faction control points. I don't know exactly what he means 2.5. 2.5 minutes? Because it definitely wasn't 2.5 minutes. And then change it to 10. It was more like 10 minutes, and they changed it to 15, perhaps? Or it was like, I don't remember what it was before exactly. 7 minutes? 2.5 minutes seems a little short. Faction control points. Are they talking about an OPR? I don't know.
At the 2.5.
Yep.
We upped those faction control points
Yeah.
too quickly because they were mistakes.
Yeah.
Where they were capping the faction control points
Yeah.
too quickly because they were set to 2.5.
Yep.
We upped those to 10 pretty quickly, and that solved that problem. And it actually had a really cool happy accident because we saw our open world PvP numbers around
Yes.
faction control points going up because I think people were like, well, there's going to be people over there sleeping. Let me go put an end to that. So it
Okay, well, I think that's what he's talking about. The forts, faction control points. I don't know if it's probably more like 15 minutes, I want to say. I don't think it's 10 minutes. And it definitely wasn't 2.5 minutes. So I'm a little confused what he's talking about at all. That takes that long to cap like that. Anyway. All right. So, yeah, it definitely got longer, though. That's for sure. They still don't really address what they're going to do with the Great Cleave thing, though. Like, if they even know about it or what. I got kicked out of the game here, so let me re-log in here. And then we'll get back to the balances and improvements. Yeah, hopefully they do address that a little more for the PvP track system. I would like to see them make arenas a little more rewarding. Perhaps. I don't know. They did change it a little bit, but I think it needs to be changed one more time. Probably if they doubled the amount you get for winning right now in arenas and then tripled the amount you get for losing. So it at least feels rewarding either way. Maybe they can double it 2.5 or something for winning. I don't know. You know, they definitely should put more points into arena for the PvP track system. I think that would get more people into the arenas because right now people aren't really queuing up for arenas as much because they can do this fort flipping stuff a lot quicker. And for example, you don't even need a fort in Great Cleave, and you can just do that over and over. It just takes like 5 minutes, and I think that's kind of the quickest way still, which a lot of people are doing. I don't know. I was hoping they would say something about that, address that perhaps, but of course, you know, they're going to just say what is working, seems to be working, and I do agree having the forts a little longer probably helps, but maybe having it on a cooldown might keep it from being abused, you know, so at least the people who cap the fort can keep it for a little while instead of it just constantly being flipped over and over and over. Because that still is happening, you know. People are still doing that for the PvP track. So anyway, let's continue on. We'll see. We'll see in the future if any of these things are addressed fully and completely to how we would like to see them, the players, and make the PvP track more feel rewarding towards PvP, you know, rather than running around. Anyways, let's get to this. Improvements and balances. That's just my feedback there. I hope this doesn't sound too negative or anything. All right.
Hey everybody, Phil here again. One of the product owners on New World, here to talk about a few big changes coming to New World. First, we're going to talk about expedition keys. We're going to talk about loot and perks, and then we're going to talk about a bunch of improvements to our trade skills. So let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is a big change coming to expedition
Removing
keys.
keys.
We heard your feedback since we launched the game, and we've been looking for a great way to balance this out and shift to a better system. And so with this next update, we are removing dungeon keys from the game and replacing them with a daily limiter system. We think this is going to be a lot more rewarding for players who want to run dungeons a lot
Daily
more
limiter.
and not provide that, you know, hard level of friction where you have to complete other things if you want to just jump in and run a dungeon. So to that end,
before he gets into anything else, daily limiter. So what is the limit? Because I know some people save up their orbs till when they have a good day to run them, right? Like say have a day off or something and they want to run 20 in a day, now you can't do that anymore, apparently, is what might be happening. Don't know if that's a fix.
You'll be able to run 15 normal dungeons a day and 20
We'll
mutated dungeons per week.
He literally just said the number I stated too. 20 a day.
Per week.
I guess that's pretty good then.
15 normal dungeons a day and 20
15
dungeons per week. The dungeon keys that
what? 20 mutated a week? That's all you're going to be able to run now. 20 mutated dungeons a week. I mean, I guess that's kind of a lot still. Seems like a lot, but I don't know. I've had days where I've definitely done about that in a day, you know, because I had a day off. A mutated. I don't know if that's a good change, honestly. I think that's
are in your inventory right now.
A bad change.
Once the change occurs with the update, they will be converted into inventory caches that will give you rolls on the bosses for those dungeons. So when you click them in your inventory, they will give you a couple boss rolls. You won't get like the full set of drops or loot you would have gotten if you actually did run the dungeon. So it might be worth, consider your options there. But we do want to make sure that we are giving you a good value for the materials and the cost and tokens and gold that you spent to get those keys initially. So you'll just click them in your inventory and get a bunch of sweet boss loot. So that'll be really fun if you've got any hanging out when the next patch goes live. Other than that, there will be a bunch more details in specific shit in the patch notes. So make sure to keep an eye out for those when they come out.
Did he just say specific? I think he just said specific shit.
So much more there will be a bunch more details in specific shit in the patch notes. So make sure to keep an eye out
he
for
did
those
say that
when they come out.
Specific shit. There's gonna be a lot more specific shit in the patch notes.
Okay, so next I want to talk to you all about a bunch of changes that we're doing with perks and the quality of loot overall. So first, the headline here is we've buffed over 150 perks in the game. The reason behind that is there were a lot of perks, that we hear a lot of the feedback that you all have given us, and we're playing the game a bunch too. We realize that there's some perks that surpass almost every other perk in the game, and that really limits the amount of viable combinations for gear at endgame. And so we really wanted to bring a lot more perks up to meet the level of some of the best perks in the game. So we've done a lot of buffs there. One notable call out is that the skill perks on weapons, the ones that relate to the specific weapon abilities, those are way more powerful now if they're on a weapon than if they are on armor. Okay, so keep an eye out in the patch notes for all of those changes there, and some of them have actually gotten a rework to make them a lot more viable as well. So
interesting.
Another, I think, high-level note to talk about here is that there's a large amount of tweaks to the logic on the way that we're kind of calculating the way that...
We'll pause right here for a second so I can run around. I don't know if you guys caught that, but what they're saying is, so perks like this here, nullifying Oblivion, which I use for my Void Gauntlet, which is on my chest piece. If this perk was on the Void Gauntlet instead, it would be a lot more powerful, apparently. It's going to be more powerful or something like that, rather than being on my chest piece. I think that's what he is saying. Let's listen to that one more time. That's sounded like what he said, which is weird because usually you wouldn't want to do that because you can have more perks on your weapon that you wouldn't usually be able to have because if you had like a skill perk. So you wouldn't want to do that. But if they're changing it, that might change a few things.
A lot more viable as well. So another, I think, high-level note to talk about here is that there's a large amount of tweaks to the changes there, and some of them have actually gotten a rework to make them a lot more viable as well. So Another, I think,
I don't know if we can find it.
high level note to talk about here is that there's a large amount of tweaks to the logic on the way that we're kind of calculating, have actually gotten a rework to make abilities. Those are way more. We've done a lot of buffs there. One notable call out is that the skill perks on weapons, the ones that relate to the specific, weapon abilities, those are way more powerful now on if they're on a weapon than if they are on armor.
Yeah, so that is correct.
So keep an eye out in the patch notes for all
Interesting.
of those changes there, and some of them have actually gotten a rework to make them a lot more viable as well. So another, I think, high level note to talk about here is that there's a large amount of tweaks to the logic on the way that we're kind of calculating the way that perks roll on weapons to improve the combinations of perks you get there. So it's just an example, are weapons and apparel and trinkets and everything else. For earrings, they now have like a very low drop chance for trade skills, so like gathering and crafting perks to roll on them, and they're more focused on rolling combat perks. They can still roll some of those gathering and crafting perks, but now they're going to roll more combat focused perks to be more applicable to the moment to moment gameplay that you're experiencing. Now, don't be worried. We're also reviewing the drop rates and locations of all the crafting specific clothing in the game to make sure that those are obtainable and really more obvious to you where to go to get them. Lastly, just because this one comes up all the time, I want to touch on it. Actually. We lowered the percentage drop chance on the durability perk of that showing up on items. We've also buffed it and renamed it to indestructible. So now if that perk is on an item, it will not take any durability damage at all. So it got a bit better and you should be seeing it less. And note that if you have current items in your inventory that these already are on, they will retroactively change. So if you have durability on an item in your inventory, it's going to change to indestructible with the update, and that item won't take any durability damage anymore. So they will all, you don't have to go out and get new items. They'll all level up with these buffed perks. So that's great. The other thing I want to mention in just terms of the overall quality of loot,
this kind of sounds cool, I guess. You're changing all the perks, which should be a good thing.
We're just increasing the quality of drops that you get, primarily the rarity. So with this update, you'll get higher rarity drops, based on your player and expertise level, obviously. But at like the far end, you should be seeing way more epics and rares versus uncommon. So more purples and blues, way less greens. The epics and legendaries, now should have more viable stat combinations, example like higher chances for Keen and lower chances for Beast Ward. And then also we've juiced up the amount of ability points that 2 stat combinations get. So anything with like strength, dex, and focus, excluding constitution, they now have increased potency where they actually provide an overall higher amount of stats than single stat items. Single stat items will still give you the most attribute bonus to a single stat, but to make the double stat ones a little bit more viable, they will give you an overall numerical amount more stats.
What?
The last thing on
that was
loot
a little
that I'm
bit
excited
confusing
to talk about is we're introducing a new method to reduce the randomness acquired in acquiring specific expedition boss loot. For everybody hunting that Lazarus bow or Fury, we're introducing a system where in an expedition, any expedition specific named item that you get can be salvaged, and when it's salvaged, it's going to produce a new type of a resource. And then that resource can be used to craft a specific drop. Now it's going to cost a bit of those resources to get the very specific drop you want. But after a number of times, if you're not getting that,
they can have a vendor for all the items in the dungeons.
You can use those resources to go get that thing you do need. So hopefully that helps out a lot and gives you a lot more structure around the loot chase that y'all are after. So a lot of really exciting changes. Please, it's way too much to talk about, every little specific here, but read the patch notes. We're going to be full of detail. They're going to have a bunch of meat to chew on there. And one more topic.
Trade skill improvements. Well, That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the dungeon changes. That kind of makes it seem like people won't be running dungeons as much anymore. No, I can't open this. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's get back into this though. Some good changes in there. Some interesting changes. I do like how he is saying the loot changes for your crafting gear. Perhaps they're going to look at some of those and make them a little bit easier to get. Like, I know some of the items are really rare right now for like the armor set specifically and can be pretty costly. So that would be nice to see that change, make it a little bit easier. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how a lot of these changes affect the game in the future, right? Let's continue on here. Trade skill improvements.
Another thing coming in this update that I want to talk to you all about are a bunch of improvements that we're making to our trade skills. So first, let's talk about salvaging. In this next update, we're making salvaging way more rewarding. And now when you salvage an item, you'll have a chance to get a perfect salvage. And that perfect salvage is going to give you a resource that can be used to research trade skill XP, fabricated into like new crafted items, condensed into gypsum cast, so you get like another opportunity to earn gypsum and expertise, extracted into valuable resources, or salvaged for a bunch of repair parts. So that's going to overall increase a lot of options that players have to go and like make a bunch of progression and feel better about salvaging loads of items that they're getting in the game. We're also making a bunch of, I think, well needed and feedback we've heard loud and clear on gathering, refining, and crafting. For gathering specifically, in short, we're speeding up the progression from levels 1 to 200 for logging and fishing. Those were sloggy, and I think they needed just a big shot in the arm. So we're giving them a boost. For dang. Refining, all of the refining skills are getting a percentage boost too for the levels that they need to get from 1 to 200. We noticed that those were lagging behind players progressing through the gathering, and so we wanted to make those like more in line with their progression curves. So with this update, that's our goal. We want refining to keep pace a lot better with the gathering skills. Another big change to refining
sounds like all of it's going to be easier, which
only
is good for those of us that don't like
to use
to craft together.
T5 values for the refining reagents. So things like sandpaper, flux, tannin, etc. Like all of those things, they're all going to be leveled up into the T5 value, and we're going to give ways for players to convert the existing lower value ones, the T3 and the T4 variants, up to T5. And so that should help you progress a lot faster too through refining. Lastly, for crafting,
that should be kind of cool.
We wanted to make sure that players feel like they're getting a lot more value as they progress up through the crafting spines, right? And so for every crafting skill, we're upping the XP that you get from tier 4 and tier 5 crafts. We're giving a big shot in the arm as well to furnishing and weaponsmithing, reducing the overall XP you need to get from level 1 to 200 there as well. So please keep a lookout
Should
for
I wait?
those big changes. Bunch of details.
Should I wait to finish my furnishing?
And all these changes are coming to the PTR. And keep in mind that the values that they're on in the PTR are not necessarily final. We're going to keep tuning these, and we're going to listen to all the feedback that you give us there. So please go check it out. And I hope you're as excited for all these changes as I am. And that's the big update for me on this side. And looking forward to your feedback.
Thanks, Phil. That was awesome. I cannot wait to see all of the changes in the PTR, which, by the way, is coming in July. So we hope to see you all there. Thanks to you, Katie, also for joining us today, and we'll see you all real soon.
All right. That looks like that is the end of the video. So, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. There's a lot of good changes that are coming up with the June update. I believe a lot of changes that they're doing with the crafting, make it easier, is going to help a lot of players out. I know there's some of those people that are dedicated hardcore armors or whatever that took all the time to farm the whole set and get all their gear up, and like the hardcore finishers that took all the time making all those oak stains or whatever that you gotta make thousands of to level up, right? I know some of them people are gonna be a little upset because they actually did it first, but you know, hey, at least you can say you did it. I don't know. It will be nice. It will be a nice change to see, and I'm glad they are changing some things like that. The changes with dungeons, though, that'll be a little interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see how the players feel about that. I know there are a few players who specifically play New World for the dungeons and run dungeons a lot, mutations a lot, and that 20 mutation a week limit may be a little, I don't know. It's going to be small for them, you know? They probably do that in 2-3 days sometimes. Who knows? Anyways, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what it's like with all the changes. The new dungeon, I already forgot what it was called. Black Blunderbuss or something or other. It sounds really cool. It sounds really interesting. I'm excited for more expeditions. Yeah, they do a really good job with expeditions, and they always kind of have some cool, interesting, different, you know, phases or puzzles, whatever you'd like to call them, within the expedition itself. And I think they're always really fun to do and see for the first time. So yeah, it'll be really exciting to see that. And of course, that's what keeps you doing them, right? Because they are exciting like that. Anyways, that's my reaction for the June New World Dev update. Yeah, we're going to get to the game here. Let me know what you think about it. You know, get back to me. We'll have to see, right? We'll have to see how all of this changes come and what they do. I wish they did a little bit more with arenas, touched up on that a little more. I don't know. It seems like it's still kind of a touchy subject. So we'll just have to see where things go with that. But I will see y'all in the future here, or maybe somewhere in the game. But we're going to get into the stream now, and I will see y'all then. Remember, if you enjoyed this video and or found it informative, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It's much appreciated. Thank you.